Hello guys, this is Martin here. Today, I decided to make this quick video for you all because this is something that I see with people a lot, and it's the biggest mistake that people make. So this might be the most important video you've ever watched when it comes to achieving a greater excellence in a way. I watched this one video the other day on Instagram where this guy said that depression is when you're worried about the past, anxiety is when you're stressing about the future, and happiness is when you're living in the moment. And it's one of the most legitimate things I've ever heard, because it's 100% the truth. Like, so many people nowadays are sad, miserable, they have a lot of resentment towards the world, they feel guilty, shameful, they have a lack of confidence, a lack of belief in themselves, they procrastinate, they stress about things all the time, about opinions online, about this and that. And the reality is, the only thing that you who's currently watching this, you have absolute control over is... Sorry, there was a spider on my arm. The only thing that you have absolute control over in your life is the present moment, the now. And I'm certainly guilty of this too. I've experienced this in my life many times where I caught myself stressing over the future or being worried about the past or the things I've done, the mistakes I've done. And yes, I mean, your failures and your mistakes and your experiences are a valuable part of the process. But there's a difference between living in the past and living in the present moment. And it's one of the hardest skills to master, especially in today's world, where we're just exposed, or we're just inundated with so much information and videos and content, from people who are trying to sell us something, from people who are trying to tell us to believe in this and that, from people who are telling us that masks are the safest thing. The masks are the safest thing we can wear on our mouths, and so on. But when you live in the moment, that's when you experience the most joy, the most fulfillment, the most... when you live in the moment, it's such a cerebral feeling. And this is definitely something that you gotta practice. This is definitely easier said than done. Because it's not an easy thing. At first, it has to be conscious. You have to really put a lot of thinking into it, or you have to condition yourself in a way where you're not really thinking so much when you're performing a certain activity, right? And so, because the present moment that we have is the best gift, is the greatest gift we can have. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future. You might get in a car crash in a day. You might get cancer in a week. You might lose a leg in a month. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen. You might die out of a disease in a year. Like, you really don't know what's going to happen. And yes, it doesn't mean that you should focus on such horrible occurrences, but you got to have that in mind. Like, this always reminds me of this one thing that Steve Jobs said. Rest in peace, Steve. He said this in his commencement speech at the graduation at Harvard University. He said something along the lines of, if I woke up and looked myself in the mirror and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I do what I'm about to do today? And this, man, like this quote still gives me goosebumps. And yeah, I've just shivered from that one. Because it really puts things into perspective. Like, yeah, you really don't know if today is your last day on earth. Who knows? So you gotta make sure that you do the best that you can on any given day. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift from God. Remember that. So make sure that you win the day. Make sure you focus on what you have control over. So focus on the action steps that you can take today so that you build momentum for your life. And stack those wins. Because once you stack those wins, eventually those days will compound. And once you reach enough momentum, that's when your life really takes a whole different level. And partly, I mean, a lot of people are not even aware of this, but it's probably mostly due to social media and how it has deceived and given people, and how it has given people a flawed perception of what success is and how quickly you can attain it. Because man, there's so many fake gurus out there, so many social media personalities who have lied to you guys. And the truth is, real success takes time. A real valuable success takes time in any aspect of life. You want to build a fantastic body? That takes time. You want to have amazing connections? That takes a long time. You want to build a great relationship with your spouse or your partner? That takes a hell lot of time. You want to make a lot of money? That takes time. Everything that is valuable in life takes a significant amount of time. And it's all relative, obviously, to how much it takes, depending on who you are, your skill sets, your abilities, your past experiences, and so on. So, guys, please, stop worrying so much about the future or the past. Really take pride in living in the moment. Because that's in your absolute control. The rest doesn't matter. Like the man who takes more pride in the work to attain the result will always do more work than the man who only wants the result. Always. So it's, I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but it takes time. It takes time. If you expect it to be easy, it's not gonna be easy. Like, once you're already winning and you have momentum in life, yes, then it gets easier. But when you're at the bottom, or you're really trying to make a change in your life, that's when it's the hardest. Because that's when your social circle and the people around you will doubt you the most. They will instill fear in you. They will make you judge yourself in a negative way. Like, that's when it's the hardest. It's always the hardest at the bottom. But once you start to level up in life, you'll start to meet new people. You start to build more experiences. You start to build a better skill set. It's like that success ladder metaphor where at the start you're at the bottom, and once you start to reach new levels, eventually you start to climb the higher rungs on the ladder. And there's people above you on that ladder, no matter who you are. So, but again, it's a mindset shift that I can give to you guys is to focus on the process. Focus on who you're becoming along the journey. And don't try to skip that part. So many people nowadays, they want the shortcut, they want the pill to solve their problems. And that's not how life works, because that short solution towards your problem is never the long-term solution. Embrace the struggle, embrace the progress. Like, just expect things to not be easy. It's way harder than you think it is. So it's gonna be hard, expect that. And take a look at people who are always trying to, quote unquote, microwave their way through life. Look at how they live. Most people live their lives that way. It's very typical in New Year's. Like, people have new goals, New Year's resolutions, and they start, they make a little bit of progress, but they end up quitting because the result is not there. They don't have a guarantee of the result, or they didn't see the result as quickly as they'd like it to happen. So that's the biggest mistake you could make, because they stop, and then 6 months, a year goes by, 2 years, 5 years, and then they start over again. And this cycle keeps repeating itself. So don't make that mistake. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you a wonderful day. Ciao.